Welcome back. I am Unapologetically Eric. You can find me on Facebook at Unapologetically Eric or on X at Eric Not Sorry. Today I'm going to be talking about civil war. That is definitely something we do not want here in the United States. Just take a look around the world where other places have experienced that or are still experiencing it. But politically in this country, if you're not living under a rock, you know that tensions are pretty fucking high. And it's, the right versus the left, the Republicans and versus Democrats, Trump versus Biden, right? It's never ending. And with social media, people are just so fucking vile and venomous towards each other. And hey, I can be guilty of that too. Sorry. I'm human. I calls it how I sees it. But in general, tensions are so high politically. And I've had conversations with people, more so on the right, because that's the circles I run in. But I've also heard this from people on the left where they're so angry and they're so frustrated. With the cost of living, they can't buy a house, or their auto insurance went up, price of groceries, pick a topic, whether it's guns or abortion or what have you. People are just at each other's throats so much, and they're just so angry and frustrated. And then they look at their political leaders and they're like, "You're not listening to me. I voted for you, and you got in, and you said you were going to do this, and then you didn't do it." Newsflash: politicians are liars. But but then you see, like, in the courts with judges, and I'm not talking the Supreme Court. I'm talking just in general. Judges are supposed to be neutral when it comes to politics. I mean, I don't. Once the robes come off, who gives a shit? I mean, everybody is a human; they have their opinions. But when they're in court, sitting at the bench, they're supposed to be unbiased. Politically, they're supposed to just go by the law. But sadly, we see on the news many judges, they allow their personal opinions and political opinions to affect their decisions, and that is fucked up. To me, that's completely unethical, and people are angry about it. And you see it through the cases with Trump, right? Let's say a case with Trump and it gets thrown out or squashed or whatever. You'll have people on the left side of the political spectrum screaming out, "That judge is, he's a Republican, he's a MAGA, blah, blah, blah." And then cases where Trump has his feet held to the fire, like, for instance, in New York, people are like, "That fucking judge, he's a libtard, jackass, and blah, blah, blah." Now, I see it too, and that's why I brought it up, because judges, in my opinion, as far as I know, are supposed to be completely neutral when it comes to their political views and whatnot. And it's blatantly obvious that's not happening. Once again, I'm going to bring up Tim Pool again. Shout out to him. He has talked about it regarding issues regarding possible litigation that he would want to bring upon someone. And his lawyers have flat out said, well, if the case goes to this court in this town or in this state, you're going to win because of politics. But if your case goes over to this court or in this town in this state, you're going to lose because politics. And that is so fucked up. That is so fucking wrong. And so people are just so fucking angry. And they're like, "We need a civil war." And that's where, again, with the people in my circles, not everybody is screaming for it, but the people that I've had the conversations with, I'm like, "Bro, you do not fucking want that. You have no idea." For starters, I'm like, okay, when the shit hits the fan, let's say it pops off. Heaven forbid it does, but let's say it does. Where are you getting your food? Do you know how to hunt or fish? Do you have stockpiles of canned goods and whatnot? No? Well, then you're going to die of starvation because there is no grocery stores left. They're all looted. They're empty. And you're not getting any food. And the trucks, they're not coming. The trains, they're not coming. because they are being diverted for war supplies and whatnot. They're not coming to resupply the local Shaws. It's not happening. Where do you get your water? Crickets. I hear crickets. Because so many people, they have no idea where they're going to get clean water that's not going to give them fucking dysentery. Hello, a la Oregon Trail? Anybody? But seriously, if there's no clean water, where are you getting water? How are you going to stay hydrated and not die? Oh, well, I got some bottled water. Okay, and how long does the Civil War last? Because, let's face it, the power is going to be one of the first things that goes out. Because nobody is maintaining that shit. There's going to be, people going and stealing everything. And there's not going to be anything around. So food, water, you're not getting it. You're not collecting it. Maybe you've got a barrel in your backyard that can collect rainwater, but okay. Good luck with that, I guess. But if the power goes down, the pumps don't run. There's no water. There's no filtered water. You're fucked. Where are you going to get this stuff? You're not. You're not. If you're not stockpiled to have enough shit for, say, years, you're screwed. Unless you know where to go out and where to get it and how to make that water clean and how to get food. Other than that, typically when I have that conversation, that stops them in their tracks because they never thought of that. I'm like, you want a civil war? Okay, I understand you're angry. I get it. I feel the same way some days. Most days, I'll be honest, most days. But I don't want a civil war because if it's popping off saying Texas, okay, I'm not directly affected. What happens if it pops off in New York City? I'm going to be directly affected because a lot of people in the inner cities, they don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to gather, fruits and berries and nuts. They don't know where their water's coming from. So guess what? They're going to be running outside of the city to find it. Has anybody watched The Walking Dead? I, for one, have not. I know, shocking. I'm not a zombie fan. But if you watch that, I've seen clips. That's kind of like how it goes down. People become roving bands, whether they're by themselves or in a group. And it's kill or be killed and winner take all. That's how it's going to go. It's not going to be like our first Civil War where, men lined up on one side of the field and men lined up on the other side and they shoot each other and people are sitting up on the countryside having a picnic. Kind of like when that's our first Civil War popped off. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be, it will be terrifying. And talk to any veteran, any combat veteran, anybody that served that has seen shit go down. Talk to them, and they will be the first ones to tell you, you do not want that. You do not want war coming to your door. Because if Civil War does break out, violence is everywhere. Good luck sleeping. You got to keep one eye open because who's coming to get you? Who's coming to steal your stuff? Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Your buddy? Your best friend? Your neighbor? Do you honestly trust them? If they know that you have food and they don't, and they've got their loved ones, well, guess what? You're on their hit list. Yeah, okay, maybe you can spare some and help them out, but it's never going to be enough because they're going to go, well, are we going to have enough food for tomorrow or the day after? Well, shit, he's got food and she's got food. Guess what? Your neighbor is now your enemy. We don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want blood on your hands on a daily basis trying to defend your stockpiles or your life. You don't fucking want that. I mean, think about a scenario where you and a couple of friends that you all trust one another and rely on one another, and you're going through the woods and you come across a woman holding a baby or what appears to be a baby, and one of you was like, man, we should probably help her out. I mean, she's crying, she's hobbling, she probably has a sprained ankle. Let's help her out. Next thing you know, under that blanket that she had wrapped up, it was a gun. Or maybe it is a baby, but two of her friends now just ambush you from behind. And guess what? You're all dead. And they just took all of your shit. And that's it. That's a wrap. You're done. And that's going to happen. That is a terrifying thought where you can literally trust nobody. Nobody. Because it's every man and woman and child for themselves. I mean, does anybody remember what happened when COVID popped off? Now, I don't care what anyone's opinion is about all of that. But my point is, I got two words. I got two words for you. Toilet paper. Does everybody remember what happened with toilet paper? I mean, people were freaking out over a virus that had a 99% survivability, and toilet paper was ransacked out of all stores, from grocery stores to the big box stores. Toilet paper was fucking gone. They had signs where you can get one package of toilet paper. That was it. And that was not for during a time where people were trying to shoot you. This was a sickness. And granted, it was early on, and I get people were freaking out. Okay, I get it. I'm not going to brag on anybody. It's what happened. But toilet paper, paper towels, eggs, meat. I remember going to the store. You could get one pound package of hamburger, and that was it, because they didn't have the stocks. Well, that was during a virus. Now imagine literally war popping off. People at war. Neighbor versus neighbor, brother versus brother. Where are you getting your stuff? You're not. Well, I'll just look online. There is no online. There's no power. And even if you could charge your phone, there's no network. What are you talking about? There will be no network. No one's maintaining it, because the people that work on maintaining the internet and the networks and cell phone providers and all, they're not at work. They're at home doing the same thing as you. They're out hunting and fishing and gathering water and teaching their kids how to do that. And they're not making sure you can get on fucking Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Twix. We'll call it Twix. Or if you're trying to look up, like, how do I fish, or how do I skin a deer? Sorry, you can't look it up. There's no YouTube anymore. It's all gone. What you experience daily is gone if a civil war happens. You do not want that. You do not want any of it. I mean, just look at the news. I mean, there's a civil strife going on in Haiti right now? Wasn't there like some guy named Barbecue, something like that? He was like a cannibal or some shit. I don't fully remember. But I think Haiti, there's like no president, or did they finally have an election? I don't know. I didn't look it up. But there was just violence everywhere. Do you want that? Do you want to go there and visit and take a vacation there? I don't fucking think so. Hey, for those of you that are like, yeah, we need a civil war. Do you have pets? Do you have a dog or a kitty, a hamster, gerbil? Do you? Well, do you plan on eating them? Because when shit hit the fan in Venezuela a few years ago, handful of years ago, before COVID, I mean, it's what communism does, people were eating their fucking pets. They were eating cats and dogs and birds and rodents. They were going out and getting rats and mice and anything they could get their fucking hands on to eat. And that was just because basically communism took over, because that's what communism does. But when there's no food or water, what do? Also, if you say, no way, I'm not going to eat Fluffy. Okay, well, Fluffy is sick. You notice there's a change. Your dog or your cat or your guinea pig or whatever, there's something wrong. Well, there's no vets around. They're not working because, again, like the maintenance workers for the internet or the cell towers, they're off doing the same thing. So the veterinarians, they're not going to be around to take a look at your pet and give you meds. Oh, meds? Pff, that doesn't exist either. That's all gone. So are you a diabetic by chance? Or know someone who is that is insulin dependent? They're dead. They're going to die. The power goes out. Your insulin is bad in what? A day? I'm thankfully I don't have to deal with that directly, but I know people that are diabetics that need insulin. Well, guess what? They're going to die. They're among the first that's going to die. Because if you can't keep the insulin cold, it's no good. Also, where are you getting the next supply of insulin? The trucks aren't coming. It's a war zone. People aren't making it because it's a war zone. So guess what? If you are a diabetic, you're fucked. So if you're a diabetic and you're like, we need a civil war, think twice, dumbass. You're the first ones to go. And on that vein, where will you go for medical help? You know, you are, you're out hunting, you trip and fall and you smash your arm. You think you broke it. Where are you going for help? Because there is no hospitals left. There's no minute clinic. There's no 24-hour. No, that's all fucking gone. Yes, doctors and nurses and people with that knowledge, they still exist, of course. But you're not going downtown to the hospital. They're not working. Even if the power is out, people can still, give aid, of course, but nobody is working. And even if you found a location where, like, say, the Red Cross set up, okay, you go there and you're like, yeah, I think I broke my arm. They'll go, okay, well, get in fucking line because we got 27 people with GSWs, gunshot wounds, and they come first. They're a priority. Maybe if, 6 or 7 of them die, then you'll get bumped up on the list. But anybody else that comes in, guess what? You're going down that list. So enjoy the pain because we don't have any painkillers because we're giving the morphine to the people with gunshot wounds and deep stab wounds. So you're going to have to deal with the pain, and maybe you can find somebody else around here to help you put a splint on it. You're just going to have to fucking deal with it. Nobody's coming to help you because other people will be taking priority. If you can even find a place set up like that. Now, as I said in the beginning, I understand the political anger and the fact that the politicians that we have elected don't listen, don't do what we want them to do, or you feel that the people, let's say it was 55% of the people voted for the person that's in that you don't like. Okay, 55% of the people you look at like they're fucking morons, and maybe they are. And again, as you notice, I'm staying politically neutral here. I'm not saying, oh, they voted in the Democrat, so those people are idiots. No. If the person that's making the decisions and you disagree with them, then you think the people that elected them are idiots. It doesn't matter which side. And I feel that. I get that. It sucks. But to want to go to war over that, to kill people over that, to kill your fellow Americans over that, that's a whole different level. That's a whole... having discussions, hell, even having a heated argument. I get it. But to go to war? No. You don't fucking want that. And I know that myself and my friend Ryan on our Two Guys, One Campfire podcast has stated before, so many people focus on the presidential election. And I get it, and it is important, of course. But your local elections matter more. The federal government has their flat gas tax. I don't know what the percentage is, but every state makes their own rules on their own state gas tax. So if you're complaining, such as myself, about the gas tax in your state, that has nothing to do with the presidential election. It's who did you elect governor? Who's in charge of your state? What about local roads? If you're bitching about potholes and you try every time you go over the railroad tracks, your car feels like it's falling down a fucking mountain. Well, that federal government has nothing to do with that. That's your local electors, elections. Those are the people you need to bitch to and complain about and complain to. And if they're doing a shit job, vote them the fuck out. Get yourself fucking educated on who you're voting for. Don't just pick the moron with a specific letter next to their name. Learn about them. Find out what they have done in the past. If they've been in office, what do they vote on? What have they voted for? If you disagree with it, again, I'm not saying what's right or wrong or what you should support, but vote them out. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, I have friends that are like, I don't, it's a waste of fucking time. And I get where they're coming from too. I still go out and vote, even though I know the people I am voting for are not going to get elected. I know they're not. At least not in this fucking state. Not a chance. Shit hasn't gotten hard enough yet. But I still go out and do it. But that's me, and that's them, and I'm not going to judge them because I get it. But also, I will caveat all of that with this. If you want things to change, but you stay home, then you don't want things to change. And that's just my opinion. Again, like I said, I understand where people like that, like my friends that don't vote, I understand where they're coming from. But again, if you want change but you stay home, don't bitch because you didn't want your words said come election day. So please, it's just me, just my suggestion, go out and vote. Bring your ID, be an American citizen to do it. Oh, I just pissed off somebody. Oh, Jesus. The biggest thing with the anger and the angst, again, yes, the political leaders making decisions you disagree with, I get. But amongst us, you and me, the people that are listening to me to you and you to me, let's hold hands and kumbaya. No, but all joking aside, we need to talk to one another. Too many people are othering everybody else. Well, that's a very dangerous road to go down, because if you start othering people, then you are dehumanizing them. So that's bad. Does anybody remember slavery? I'm sure many people do. But that happened because people were like, those people aren't people. They're different. They're other. They're not as good as us. They othered them. So it made doing that heinous act easy. It made it easy. World War II. In Germany, they dehumanized the Jews. They othered Jewish people. They are the problem. They are the reason why we are having bad times. So it made it easy for people to do the horrible things that they did. And it wasn't just Jewish people. It was also gay people and people that had mental deficiencies, and the list goes on. But it was easy to do bad things to someone when you didn't see them as a someone. So here in the United States, I understand the people on the right. Again, that's my circle. That's my tribe. But we can't other the people on the left or Democrats or progressives or whatever. They're people. And yes, and it's okay for us to think that they've lost their way or they're out of their fucking minds. Okay, fine. And the same thing for leftists or Democrat, whatever you want to call yourself. You want to look at me and think I'm out of my fucking mind. Okay, maybe I kind of am. I am a little crazy. But that's okay to think that I'm a little nuts. Or it's okay for me to think that you're a little nuts. That's okay. But when we go, you're crazy, you don't deserve to live, or you should just shut your mouth because your opinion doesn't matter. Now that's a dangerous, slippery slope to go down, bro. That is I only said bro once. Nice. So We got to stop doing that and learn to agree to disagree. It's it's easier said than done. I know that because again, certain topics are just bring out the emotions in us, whether it's guns or abortion or the environment. That is something that boils to the surface of people because you're so impassioned about it. Which, okay, that's great. It's great to be passionate about things, but when somebody comes at you with a different point of view, and when I mean come at you, I don't mean aggressively, because that is also a problem. But when somebody presents, we'll use that word, presents you with a different point of view, and you just blow them off completely, or call or insult them, and basically say, "You're just stupid. Shut the fuck up." That's a bad position to put yourself in. I mean, at work, I try to think of ways to solve an issue on a part I'm working on. And lately we have gotten a whole litany of different types of parts that have different issues, different repairs that we've really have never really done before in certain areas that are difficult to get to. So I'll sit and I'll think, I'll brainstorm, how do I get in there? But I don't just go hog wild doing it and then hit a wall. I'll go and talk to somebody else and go, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. I was going to do it this way. What do you think?" And sometimes they go, "You know what? That's a great idea. Yeah, go for it." Other times they'll say, "Actually, that might be a problem because of this, this, and this." Well, if I just shut them down and said, "Well, you're a fucking idiot. Don't talk to me," then no, I'm the fucking idiot. I'm the asshole, and I'm the one that needs to shut the fuck up because maybe what they are saying is valid. Some of the greatest inventions weren't just and perfect. It took a team of people to bounce shit off of. And granted, oftentimes one person took credit, like Steve Jobs or that Microsoft dickhead. But it was a team of people, a team of brains that came up with that idea. So when you have a political view, and I don't care how embedded you are in that view, and that's okay, I'm not telling you have to change your mind, but when somebody presents you with a different opinion, non-aggressively, non-argumentatively, just presents you, "Hey, have you ever thought of it this way?" And you haven't, think about it. And it could take 10 seconds, it could take 10 days, but think about it. And then have a rebuttal, retort with them, have a conversation. All too often, when it comes to political things, when it comes to conversations regarding politics, especially when someone's on two people or multiple people are on different sides, it usually resorts to name calling, insults, screaming and yelling, and that's when the conversation's over, because now you're having a fucking temper tantrum. And I don't care what political spectrum you're on. That is a temper tantrum. So what do you do with a toddler when they're having a temper tantrum? You don't give them ice cream and a back rub. You walk away. You just walk away. You don't look at your kid and go, "Shut the fuck up, Billy." They're 3. You don't do that. But you walk away. Let them scream and cry and kick and punch the carpet, and eventually they'll stop crying and usually fall asleep because they burn themselves out. But when they wake up, then you can have a conversation with the child, right? Well, it's the same thing when you're having a political discussion. If somebody starts screaming, yelling, ranting, and raving, walk away. Just, I'm done. I'm done with this. And if they're going, "Well, that means I won." Okay, fine. Don't turn around and say, "No, it doesn't mean you won. It means just, yeah, fine, you won." And you walk away. Because maybe then when they calm down and they think about the experience, maybe they'll go, "Wow, I was kind of a dick. Hey, can we talk about this again? I'm sorry about how I reacted." And again, it's so much easier said than done, because when it comes to politics, it's so right there on our sleeves, right? But we need to do that here in the United States. And we need to learn to agree to disagree. and then just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. I've had friends that are no longer my friends because they did not like my political views and who I voted for. And so they excommunicated me. All right. Well, fuck you too. Bye, Felicia. Okay. And hey, I'm guilty of it too. There has been people that I once called friends that I no longer communicate with because I don't respect the views that they have. And through the years, I would have conversations with them. Not screaming matches, not arguments, just how can you possibly think that way? And they'll give me an answer, and I'll rebut with whatever my statement was. And then just through the years, I'm just like, I just can't do this anymore. I don't respect this person. I can't be friends with this person I don't respect. But I don't wish them ill will. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I just don't want them in my circle anymore. And I think more and more Americans, and not just here in America, but around the world too, because there's a lot. The world's really fucking insane right now. Has it always been though? I think it has, but we're just more aware of it. But specifically here in the United States, I think everybody needs to just take a chill, literally have a beer, or have a joint, or have some mushrooms, or have a cup of coffee, or a cup of tea, because I know somebody that prefers tea. So have a cup of tea and sit down, and then when you start feeling your emotions coming up and your blood pressure getting up and your heart rate getting up, just say, okay, I'm starting to get a little right now, so let's take 5. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Or let's change the subject. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at least you didn't have a screaming match. Feelings weren't, feelings may have gotten hurt, but they're not, damaged. It's one thing to have a disagreement and people's feelings get hurt, but you don't want to damage it, because do you really want to just destroy that relationship or friendship over something that's probably kind of dumb? So everybody just needs to fucking take a chill pill, breathe, and relax, because civil war, it's not civil. You do not want it. And before I wrap this up, I've wanted to talk about another thing I've heard people talk about, is instead of civil war, have a thing called a national divorce. Well, what the fuck is a national divorce? Well, essentially, from what I have heard, sections of the country would be, the country would be divided up in sections. And it's like, okay, and one, who is in charge of those sections? What states are in those sections? Because if you put California in the same section as, say, Texas, politically they are they're polar opposites. That's what I'm looking for. And so how is that going to work out? It won't. And nothing is ever so easy as just saying that. Or what is another alternative? Every state is its own country now? That's not going to fucking work either. Because hypothetical, let me just throw this out here. I'm pulling this directly out of my butthole. But let's say Delaware has, when it comes to power, let's say the state of the now a nation of Delaware has a new president, and Delaware has no nuclear power plants, but they do have some coal plants. Well, let's say the new president of Delaware is highly unliked by the president of, say, Maryland. And let's say Maryland has been supplying Delaware with coal. Well, he doesn't like the new president of Delaware, so guess what? They're either going to cut off the supply of coal, or they're going to jack the prices 300%. Well, now you're going to have two states that are butting heads. Where do you go from there? Because now let's say Pennsylvania steps in and says, hey, we have an abundance of coal, and so much so we really can't have anybody mining for it, because since all of us are not one big happy kumbaya country anymore, we've got nobody to send this coal to. So guess what? Delaware will sell you the coal. That's going to piss off Maryland. And Now let's say New York gets involved because, hey, Pennsylvania is now undercutting the prices on the coal that we send out because let's say New York supplies coal to like Maine and Vermont. And now Maine and Vermont hear the price that Delaware is getting and they go, we want that. And so where does it stop? Again, this is a hypothetical I just pulled out of my ass off the top of my fucking head. But where does it stop? So now you're literally going to have 5, 6 different states warring together, literally warring together. It's fucking insanity. America is beautiful. It is, in my opinion, the best country on the planet. I don't always agree with the government. That's an understatement. And I don't give a shit who is in office. I like to be left the fuck alone. And it doesn't matter who's in, someone's always fucking with me. But it is the greatest country on the planet. And we are free to I'm allowed to sit here and talk on this microphone and put it out into the ether with these opinions. In other countries, no fucking way. You're not allowed to do that. So I am so proud to have been born here. I fucking lucked out. I won the universal lottery, like many of us, to be born here. But we need to calm down. We need to communicate more and learn to just agree to disagree. There are some things that you're just not going to change someone's mind, and someone may not change your mind. But that's okay. When did that stop being okay? I remember in the 90s, it was okay to disagree with someone, and you'd still go and have a beer. Now, people will disagree and then slash someone's tires, and it's fucked up. Everybody just calm down. You do not want a civil war. You do not want it. Because in the end, we all lose. So, on that happy note, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, take care.